I want to make another. There's someone that lives. I'm sorry. There's someone. Not to get off topic, but there's someone that lives very close to me, and every day and every night they always vroom 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 up the fucking car, and it's a piece of shit Honda, like in the movie Employee of the Month. I have a piece of shit Honda, but yeah, it's just. So if you hear that, they're gone. I don't want to get off topic with that. I want this video to be short. This is weird bands. I don't know, part 2, part 3. I don't know what part I'm on. Okay. It's. Sorry if you hear me clicking. I guess you would consider them weird. And a lot of these bands, I will admit, they're popular bands. I never said they were. I never said they were rare bands. Because someone commented, "Oh, a lot of these bands are." I know I'm getting off topic in the beginning, but I just have to make an announcement before I get to my list. Someone was complaining a lot of these bands are well known. I never said, to my knowledge, that these were rare, weird bands, and if I did, I apologize. I understand that most people know about these bands, but some people may not. That's the thing. Some people may not. Everyone listens to different things, especially on my channel. So, yeah. So, okay. So, anyways, Mindless Self-Indulgence. Mindless Self-Indulgence is an older band. A lot of I think Gen Z is starting to get into this band, I think. Like on TikTok, I think. I grew up with this band, but there's people that have not grown up with this band that are starting to get into it, like the Dangan romp pop kind of type of Invader Zim kind of people. They didn't even grow up with Invader Zim, and I did. Kind of whatever. It's funny because I'm actually I'm working on a song that sounds kind of like Invader Zim kind of in a way. I'm making a song. I'm gonna release a song. It's called. Well, I'm not gonna say what it is yet, but there is a song that I'm working on. It kind of sounds like Invader Zim a little bit. But anyways, yeah, Mindless Self-Indulgence, they're a very weird band. I think there is a little bit of controversy with them, and I don't know if I can get into it or not, but, there's always going to be controversy. Sorry, I'm trying to spell here. There is a little bit of controversy with this band and stuff like that, but there's a lot of bands that are like that. The lyrics are like, I'm not trying to offend the band or the people that like them or anything. These are just like my honest opinions, so if you take it negatively, you take it negatively. If you take it positively, you take it positively. Basically what I'm trying to get at is that a lot of those songs are kind of like sexual, which I have no problem with that. Like, there's a lot of sexual themes along with it, and there's a lot of edgy, controversial themes within it. You know what I mean? It's whatever. You know what I mean? It's whatever, right? I like to call it's whatever. There's a character. Not to get off topic. There's an anime called Watamote, and the main character's her name is Tomoko. A lot of people like make jokes on the internet that she's like a big Weezer fan because everyone calls Weezer incel music. I don't know if Weezer is truly incel music or not. I don't know. I don't like to define a band by one label. I like to see a band in its entirety. Just because you make a bunch of songs about being a whatever, I don't know. But basically, what I'm trying to get at is, I'm surprised no one makes jokes that Tomoko. I'm surprised people don't make any references or jokes that Tomoko from Watamote is a Mindless Self-Indulgence fan, because a lot of the songs are about sex, and if you know anything about Tomoko, and she's like a huge virgin, right? And she wants to like become popular, and she wants to like get friends and get a date, but she can never do it. So she's basically kind of like a mindless self-indulgent like cringe lord, basically. Like she got caught listening to erotic audio or something like that. Her mom stepped in or something like that in the anime. Like, I could see her listening to this kind of music, and I'm not saying that as an insult, because that's kind of like how I used to be, or I still am kind of like that, even though I'm 30, so I'm not like a teenager anymore. But I'm not saying everybody that listens to this music is like a virgin that can never get it up. No pun intended, because they have a song about that. I'm not saying that. There's probably well successful people that like listening to this music. I'm just saying, if you are a little bit cringy, these songs could like reflect you. Like, you know what I mean? Or speak to you. Like, you know what I mean? Or if you like making memes and you like making jokes about sex or just goofy country, if you like being an edgelord on the internet, like this music is like for you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that as a diss or anything. You know what I mean? It's just this type of music. It appeals to all kinds of people. It appeals to unironic, cringy people, but then it also applies to people that might want to make jokes about those people. Like, you might, like, it's possible that you might not even be like that. Maybe you just like making fun of, like, you just like, how do I say this? You like making, you like laughing at people like that. Like, maybe you're not cringy yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you might not be cringy yourself, but you like listening to my mindless self-indulgence by saying, wow, this song is speaking about people that I'm not a part of, but those people are just so ridiculous, the ones that can never get it up. Like, I'm just so glad that's not me. Haha, you know what I mean? Basically, in a nutshell. But no, this music just, I'm kind of rambling here, but, they have a song called Masturbates. They have a lot of, like, very offensive stuff. Like, it attracts all kinds of people, basically. The people that are like that, the people that are not, that are making, jokes about those people, whatever. I'm kind of edging the video a little bit too long, but yeah, they're a very weird band. I made a song about being lonely, for instance, that's very mindless self-indulgent influenced. I'm just like, oh, no, 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 no. The song is not called Lonely. The song is called Virgin. That's the one. Yeah, I have a song called Virgin. It's very mindless self-indulgent influenced. I'm like, I'm a virgin, I'm gonna win. There's other influences too. Like breakcore and stuff like that. But yeah, to moving on is Kim Dracula, and I have to address this. I don't know if you got this far in the video, but I have to address this. A lot of people have been comparing me to Kim Dracula because I started doing this thing where I genre hop. And if you go back, I don't want this to be about me, but I just wanted to address this, and I'm gonna even release a song addressing this. It won't by me making this video, it won't defeat the purpose of making the song. The song that I'm gonna release is still a good song. The song is oh fuck it, I'll say it. It's called Genre. I'm gonna name my song Genre Hopper. And it's gonna be addressing me genre hopping. It's gonna be me addressing this situation. Yeah, I've gotten accusations that I'm copying Kim Dracula because I seem to do this thing where I mix two genres or three genres in one song specific, and it's not even just me sounding like two genres or three genres, but people say that I'm actually trying to sound like other bands within one song. Like, it's like people be like, they comment, like I get comments saying, like I've gotten like messages, even messages like off of YouTube saying things like, sounds like Marilyn Manson meets Trent Reznor meets like Tool, like, Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails, and Tool, or something weird like that, or something like that. And if you go back on my channel, I never used to make music like that. I would either make one album in one style, and then the next album would be completely different style. And I like I said, I don't want, or it would be completely uncategorized. Like, you wouldn't be able to categorize my music. And I know I'm making this about me, and I don't want this to be about me. But I'm just trying to break the controversy here that I didn't hear about Kim Dracula until, like, I think this year. I think it was like this year I discovered Kim Dracula because I make avant-garde metal. I make experimental metal. It's basically kind of the same thing. And I never really knew any other bands that did that other than Mr. Bungle, which I am influenced by. That's why I do the genre hopping. Because of Mr. Bungle, their earlier stuff. That's why I genre hop. And as far as why do I sound like specific bands sometimes in one song, like sounds like Linkin Park got collaborated with Marilyn Manson or something, why do I do that? Because Again, I'm going to address this in my upcoming song, Genre Hopper, but basically I do this because I don't like separating my music ideas. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how many, if I separated my songs to one genre, I would have like probably twice as much songs. Like as I'm recording this, I have like 501 videos, and some of those videos are not songs. Some of them are not, but most of them are songs. Could you imagine if I separated my song ideas? That it would be twice as much. I'd probably have 1,000 songs by now. I do it because I don't know if it's ADHD. I don't know what it is, but I don't want to separate my music ideas. I'm like, why separate it when you could just put it all in one, right? Just get it out there. And whether you want to call it ADHD, whether you want to call it bipolar mania, because I was diagnosed with schizoaffective, disorganized schizophrenia, whether I have disorganized thinking due to the schizophrenia, or it's just, it is what it is. And basically, to get back to Kim Dracula, because people were like, dude, stop talking about yourself. Kim Dracula basically does the same thing. I think they go by they, them, so I'm sorry if I refer to them as he. I'm sorry if I refer to them as he, him, so I'm going to start say they, them. I think they're non-binary, they, them. I love Kim Dracula. Like I said, I didn't discover them until, like, I think this year or a little bit last year, because what I did was I Googled avant-garde metal on YouTube or something like that. Because even though I'm influenced by avant-garde metal, or just avant-garde music in general, mostly Mr. Bungle, mostly Frank Zappa, mostly Captain Beefheart, which I've mentioned those bands in my other weird bands list video, whatever. That was like part 1, or I don't know what part that was. I don't even know what part this is. When I looked up avant-garde metal, it redirected me to this YouTube channel, which I'm familiar with, called, I am familiar with this, Occulturation, top 10 avant-garde, top 10 avant-garde metal albums. And then I watched it, and then he mentioned Kim Dracula, and I said, oh, it kind of sounds like Korn a little bit with Mike Pat and Mr. Bungle. And it's funny because when I watched this video, I only seeked out the song he mentioned, which was Rosie or whatever, and that was the only song that I knew of Kim Dracula, but I never decided to seek out more of those songs. But I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I didn't see them as a one-hit wonder. I'm glad I did check out more of their music, because I could see why now people compare me to them. But I don't think the comparison is that good. I don't agree with the comparison, because, and I'm not saying this as a bad thing, and I'm not saying this as a good thing either, they genre hop in the same song to a ridiculous level, like ridiculously. I only genre hop like sometimes, like the verse, like this is just a big example, like I'll make a song, the first verse will sound like Korn, and then the chorus might sound like Tool or something like that, but then the second verse will go back to Korn. Either I will copy and paste that verse, the first verse as the second verse, or I will the second, or the second verse will be different, but it's still kind of in that Korn aesthetic esque kind of, in a way. Just, it's just instrumental, sounds a little bit different, and my singing is still Korn, but it's singing a little bit differently. And then I'll go back to the chorus of Tool, and then the bridge will be like Linkin Park or something, and then whatever, right? Like, that's usually how I do my music. It's usually like 3 bands in one, but sometimes I get a little bit more experimental than that. Sometimes it will be like first verse sounds like Tool, chorus sounds like Korn, second verse sounds like the Mars Volta, and then, and then repeats the chorus again, and then the bridge sounds like Faith No More or something weird like that, like, which is kind of funny, because I am working on a song that is like, I am working on a song that sounds like the Mars Volta meets Kim Dracula meets, I don't know. Maybe I'll release this after maybe I'll release this after I release my album, because I don't want people stealing my song ideas. You know what? I'm gonna release this after my song ideas. Fuck it. In fact, I'm gonna release one of my songs now, actually, as I'm talking. I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna wait because I was supposed to wait a week to release a new album. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna release a single now. There you go. Release a single now. But go back to Kim Dracula though, again, they them. I think it's they them. They didn't copy. I'm not copying them, and I don't think they're copying me because they have like 500,000 followers on YouTube or something crazy like that. I just think we had the same idea. I think what it really is, I think the reason why um, our music sounds similar is because I think the real reason is I found out that Kim Dracula, they, them, again, once again, they're influenced by Mr. Bungle, and I'm influenced by Mr. Bungle. So that's probably why we're genre hopping. You know what I mean? As far as Kim Dracula sounding like specific artists, though, because Mr. Bungle doesn't specifically sound like specific artists, though, musicians. Well, Kim Dracula does, and I do. I will admit that is a little bit of a coincidence, but there's many bands that have that. There's bands that sound like total ripoff of one band. Like, for instance, Airborne. There's a band called Airborne. They sound like a ripoff of AC/DC. That's the only influence that they at least sound like to me. I mean, they might have secret influences, but when you hear their music, that's all that you hear is AC/DC. But there is bands out there where you kind of hear like a mismatch of like two bands in one. Now, I can't really think of a very good example of this. The only one that I can think of is the band Adema. I think how you pronounce it, Adema. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, Adema. When I listen to the music, like Giving In, for instance, that song, to me, at least vocally, not instrumentally, but at least vocally, it sounds like Chester Bennington meets from Linkin Park meets Jonathan Davis of Korn. Kind of just how he sings, kind of like this, and then like Chester Bennington, and then he gets kind of like growly, like Korn, Jonathan Davis, So that's basically what I'm trying to get at is that, you know, um, yeah, is Kim Dracula. They make great music. They're doing something different, and no one really knows, at least, like, if the genre hopping, like, sounding like Red Hot Chili Peppers meets Faith No More meets Korn, like, no one really knows if they're doing that as a joke or if these are, like, serious influences. I assume it's serious influences. I think they're just trying to be different. You know what I mean? I made up a crazy conspiracy theory. I made up a crazy conspiracy theory that what if their first album that had the 20 tracks, what if that was supposed to be like a joke? This is just a conspiracy theory. I'm not saying it's true or not. But what if that album was supposed to be a joke, but people took it literally? So now because people took it literally, they have to stick to the genre hopping. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that's what's going on here. The gradual decline in morale or whatever. I'm not saying that's what's going on here. But I'm saying, hypothetically, what if that album was supposed to be a joke? They weren't technically meant to be that experimental, but now people they see Kim Dracula now as an experimental metal artist. So because of that, they have to stick to that. So what was once a joke, they have to stick with for the rest of their life because people expect that kind of music out of them. Again, I'm not saying that's what's going on here, but you know how crazy that would be. But in my honest opinion, I don't think that's what's going on. I think the real reason why Kim Dracula, why they made that album, is because they just like being avant-garde. They just like being experimental. They just have so many influences, and probably like me, they didn't want to separate the ideas because maybe they have ADHD or schizoaffective or bipolar mania themselves. I don't know. Or maybe they just wanted to be different. Maybe they just were just kind of sick of just same old metalcore fucking enter metalcore band here, and they were kind of just sick of just the same old, and they just probably just realized that, we're going to be running out of original music. One of the, like, can you imagine what is music going to sound like in 2050? What is music going to sound like in the year 3000? we're not gonna. Eventually, we're gonna have to, because people comment to me and they say, "Oh, Jonnyism, your music is weird." You realize that there will come a point in time, possibly, that we'll probably run out of new music. That at least normal music. I'm kind of going on a schizo tangent mania here. But there's a Vsauce video about this of Vsauce. Will we ever run out of new music? In my honest opinion, to answer that, I think we will run out of normal music. You know what I mean? Kim Dracula, this is the music that I crave for. You know, even though they're not influenced by me and I'm not influenced by them, except for my upcoming album. I am making an album and it is a little bit influenced by them. But before, I think they just wanted to do what I was doing, you know what I mean? Like, they just have they're kind of like me, where they just they just have so many influences. And they probably said to themselves, why would I separate my music ideas? That's probably the same reason why I'm doing it. Like, why separate the music ideas? You know what I mean? And again, I think they do what they do just to be different. You know what I mean? I think being different is a good thing because it gets you more in the spotlight. I think if you just sounded like falling in reverse, I think if you just become like another falling in reverse band, which that's fine. I like that band, or Escape the Fate. You know, you'd just be seen as, oh, it's just one of those bands. You know what I mean? But, you know, we need more people like King Dracula, though. But yeah, they make great music. I can't believe they have 500,000 followers. They need more followers. And I don't know if they have haters or anything, but I think normal people just don't get it. Like, normal people only have, like, a certain type of attention span, and they can only pay attention to one style. You know what I mean? I don't know if they have haters, but, you know. But no, they're a good band. And the fucking Vroom 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 Vroom, I think, is back. But yeah, their music is just very, you know, yeah. I mean, it's very hard to tell who they're trying to sound like at some points. You know what I mean? I mean, when they do the Red Hot Chili Peppers thing, I don't know if it really is Red Hot Chili Peppers or if it's like Faith No More. It's really hard to tell. Because sometimes it's like the rapping sounds like Red Hot Chili Peppers, but the guitar sounds a little bit too heavy. Like, it sounds more like Faith No More. So it's fun. I know that, and I know they had Red Hot, you know, had a beef with Faith No More before a couple of years ago, because a lot of people were accusing the two bands of sounding similar, which they really don't. Other than, like, the rapping might sound like the old rapping a little bit might sound a little bit like, it's so like, you know, like it sounded a little bit similar. But the instrumentals obviously not, you know, like Faith No More was more like, and then while Red Hot Chili Peppers was more like laid back kind of an instrumental. Kind of like, you know, the instruments, you know. But yeah, it gets kind of hard to tell when Kim Dracula, like, who they're trying to sound like at some points. Like, there's a part where there's one song that they collaborate with Jonathan Davis of Korn, where they go, yeah! And a lot of people are commenting, oh, that sounds like King Diamond or Merciful Fate. Well, it could also apply to Judas Priest, too. Like, they have the song Painkiller, you know? So it could have been a Judas Priest reference for all we know, because they're a little bit more. Judas Priest is a little bit more well known compared to King Diamond. A lot of people might not know that, and it gets very hard to tell. If I had to guess, it probably would be King Diamond, maybe. I don't know. However, King Diamond kind of does this thing where he's just like, well, he'll do that like high voice, but then he'll sing like this. And Kim Dracula wasn't really doing that. He sounded more like Judas Priest kind of in a way. But it doesn't really matter. And then you get these people. I don't know if they're haters of Kim Dracula or not. I don't know. And then you get these people that say, "Oh, Kim Dracula's not trying to sound like any specific band or whatever. They're just trying to be different." I want to believe that, but I don't think it's unintentional. Like they're unintentionally trying to sound like other bands. I don't think it's unintentional. I think it is intentional. I mean, even listen to the single in threes, for instance. Like, it's obviously like intentionally supposed to sound like Korn, Jonathan Davis, and then a little bit at the end of the first verse, it kind of sounds like a perfect circle. Um, there is a lot of I don't know if it's conspiracy theories or just regular theories, but there is theories floating around that Kim Dracula kind of, again, I can't say what's going on in Kim Dracula's mind. These are just theories. There's people that, you know, Kim Dracula's kind of being sick of being seen as like a selling point or something like that. They want to be seen as, they don't want to be seen as this and that. They don't want to be seen as the dude that kind of sounds like Red Hot Chili Peppers or the dude that just mixes genres in general. They want to be seen as a whole person, right? That's what like the theories are floating around on the internet of like what's even the purpose of Kim Dracula's music. These are the theories. Is that like if you read into their lyrics, like they have a song. Sorry, my dad's in the hallway. If you read into the lyrics, like they have one song where it's just like, I don't know. I think it's My Confession or something like that. They say this is. I'm misquoting here. I'm misquoting here a little bit, but basically they're saying in a nutshell, this is who I am, who I'm not, and who I could have been, or something like that. There's a lot of theories floating around that they just want to be seen as a whole person, like more than the music. Like I mean, they just want to be seen as just them. You know. Yeah. So yeah, I've kind of like edged this video too long. And I think the third band, I guess, I could put on my list, and I'm probably gonna get dislikes for this because it's myself. It's Jonnyism. I'm probably gonna get dislikes for that because I spent a lot of this video talking about myself, and I'm not a narcissist. I just wanted to address some controversy. And I would probably get dislikes. Another reason why I'd probably get dislikes is because it is kind of like self-promotion kind of in a way. But I have to put myself on here because I do make weird music, for better or worse. And I'm not even just saying that as a positive thing necessarily. I don't know. I don't know if me being on a weird band list, I don't know if it is a good thing or not. Because people do like my music, it is weird and stuff like that. But it's like, some people don't. Like, I got a comment recently that said, your music is too weird, or there's too much imperfections, because I said, oh, you don't understand me. You don't understand me. There's a lot of bands out there that do what I do, like Mr. Bungle and Kim Dracula and Frank Zappa and Captain Beefheart. And the dude commented back and he said, oh, I don't know if they've heard of those bands or not, but they basically came back to me in the comment section and they said, oh, those bands, I gave them a listen. Some of them have potential, or some of them already have potential, they're good bands. But then they pointed the finger at me and they said, but what you do, however, is like basically they didn't say it was tone deaf, but they're kind of like treating me as if I'm not as great as those bands, which I don't give a fuck if I am or not. I'm just trying to do what they do, or sometimes I don't do what they do at all, and I'm just trying to do my own different thing that no one else is doing. And basically, they didn't like my music. And I'm just here to say that I don't give a crap anymore. I honestly, I don't care. You don't get it. The normal people don't get it. I mean, apparently I'm weirder than Mr. Bungle, and I'm weirder than the Residents, and my music is more imperfect than Daniel Johnston and Wesley Willis. Like, my music is worse than people. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is people think that I'm worse than the Shags. I'm weirder than the Shags. I'm weirder than Mr. Bungle. And honestly, good. It bothered me at first, but now it's just like good. The more corrupt my music sounds, the more weird and different and neurodivergent it sounds and less neurotypical, the more mentally ill it sounds, the more fucked up it sounds, the better. That makes me, that comment doesn't want to make me improve. That makes me want to disimprove. That makes me want to make that comment, if that's trying to encourage me to make my music more symphonic, classical, perfect angel sounding, no, that doesn't. that doesn't encourage me. That makes me want to make my that either makes me want to keep doing the same shit that I've been doing for a while. That either makes me want to do that, or that makes me want to make my music worse. And I think I'm gonna start making my music worse, more distorted, more fucked up, more fucking just to piss people off now. I don't care for shit if you have phonophobia or misophonia, the hatred of sound. You know, I don't care anymore. I'm going to give people a warning right now and say that I'm sorry that you suffer from hating loud noises or hating certain weird noises. I'm sorry you suffer from that. But I'm giving you a warning now that from now on, my music is going to aggravate people that are sensitive to sound or people that don't like weird music. So if you are sensitive to sound or hate weird music or hate weirdness, don't listen to my music from now and further in the future, because it's gonna be very distorted and fucked up and weird sounding, and it's gonna sound like two, a monkey slamming on trash cans, basically. Because the more satanic it becomes, the more satanic my music becomes, the more corrupt it becomes, the more um, Ahrimanic it becomes. Ahriman is the evil being in the religion Zoroastrianism. He's like the opposite of everything good and pure and perfect and whatever. The more my music becomes the opposite of purity, and the better. Because I'm already a fucked up individual myself. It was like, well, just because you make fucked up music doesn't mean that you are fucked up, Johnny. No. Well, it may be true that some people make fucked up music, but they might have a great personality. You know? I make fucked up music because I have a fucked up personality. My music is a reflection of my personality. I'm this antisocial personality disorder with schizoaffective, that I am a sociopath. And this is my evil, satanic, Ahrimanic way of path of living. And it's the behemoth of all demons, you know, and that's where I'm going with this. And if you want to dislike it and make fun of it and say it's cringe and share it on a cringe compilation or a cringe Reddit, I don't care. This is the end. My future music will be the fucking hellfire of shit of farting. Okay? Ugh, demon. Let me just say, I had a band. I don't like talking about this band, but you know, I used to go by Gnostic Mind Train. You know, GNOSTIC. You know, Mind Train. You know, it's on. My music is on Reverb Nation and SoundCloud. I've been doing the genre mixing for a very long period of time. I've always kind of been into that, you know. So like Reverb Nation and SoundCloud is kind of proof that, you know, I've always tried to do my own thing, and you know, I don't really care what people say if they think it's too weird or too ADHD schizo, or if I'm trying to be like my biggest. It's so funny because in the beginning, my biggest fear was people accusing me of being two artists in one. Oh, you're trying to be like Nine Inch Nails meets Tool. Now I have to worry about, oh, now you sound like this one artist that sounds like multiple artists. What? It's crazy how it's gone from that to that, you know. I mean, look at 10-second songs. I think, you know, I don't consider him a conscious direct influence, but maybe like subconsciously, you know, accidentally I was like influenced. But I think you know, because he's been doing that too. You know, he's been doing that before I think I was doing my genre mixing, and before Kim Dracula was doing the genre mixing. So, you know, I think I did write down that maybe 10-second songs, you know, Anthony Vincent was an influence on why I do the genre hopping. I think. I don't totally remember, but that would make sense. And that would also make sense as to why Kim Dracula does what they do too. So we could just be influenced by 10-second songs, because no one was really doing that. The changing genres within 10 seconds in one song. No one was really doing that other than Anthony Vincent, or, you know, from 10-second songs, you know. So that's another possibility, you know. But yeah, I've been doing this for a while though. I don't know exactly when. I don't know exactly when with Jonnyism, but with Gnostic Mind Train, I've been doing the genre hopping since like what, like 2019. Um, Probably before that. Um, I don't know. I've always wanted to be like the most diverse band ever. You know, that wants to because I mix the weirdest fucking genres together. Like the weirdest shit. Like death metal, progressive metal, or symphonic jazz, rap. Like weird combinations. Like unlikely combinations. Like you know what I mean. I don't really like my Gnostic Mind Train era of music. It wasn't that good compared, like it wasn't as glitchy as how it is now. You know, my music kind of sucks. The more you go down my old music of Gnostic Mind Train, the more you go down by the years, the more it gets worse. You know, like 2016, that was terrible. 2017 of my music was terrible. 2019 was really bad. But the more you go up, like 2020, it started getting a little bit better with Gnostic Mind Train. 2021, it started getting a little bit better and stuff like that. And I had a second band called Morphinoid Femboid, MARFANOIDFEMBOID. That's on SoundCloud only, and it was also kind of like a Mr. Bungle, psychedelic, red hot, like like mesh of bands, um, you know. But yeah, that's basically it, I guess.